All right, thank you guys. Please allow me to introduce Berachain again. So Berachain is a EVM compatible layer one modular high performance use the pro liquidity consensus. We've been building for years, and we have around 200 projects, native projects on the chain. So I'll quick start. So the first question is to could every project's founders do a brief introduction about yourselves and the project interview?
Can you hear me? I'm sorry. I can't talk from my eyes, the bare eyes. My name is Rifo. I'm not on the screen, but we do vaporizers. The name of my company is Puff Paul. And we bring vaporizers on chain to incentivize people to quit smoking. So it's a quit smoking to earn type of a deep in slash real world asset project. Thank you.
Hey guys, my name is Rido, co-founder of Infrared. I'm not on the screen either, but great to meet everyone. We're building the liquidity infrastructure layer on Berachain. So that includes a suite of products beginning with the first native LST stack, a liquidity marketplace very similar to Vodium, and then lastly, deeper infrastructure products like MEV and block settlement.
Hi guys, it's Ryan from Exponents. We're building, well, as mentioned, Exponents. So what we're doing is we're going to build the most efficient market in all of DeFi and TradFi and have it start on Berachain. Thank you.
Hey guys, my name's Kevin. I'm the Pikachu, founder of Ooga Booga. Ooga Booga is building Berachain's native liquidity aggregator. Berachain itself is trying to be the most capital efficient L1 to have ever existed with its new consensus model, proof of liquidity. But an intrinsic and inherent feature of blockchains means that liquidity is going to be dispersed across multiple different avenues and pockets and places. So that's what we come in to aggregate all of that liquidity together.
Hi guys, my name is Sami. I'm the co-founder of Redacted. We are building liquidity infrastructure on Ethereum and will soon be leveraging proof of liquidity to bring everything we've been doing on mainnet, but with 100 times more leverage on Berachain. I'm also helping run the Build-A-Bear incubator, so helping a lot of the projects here get started, get funded, and yeah.
All right, we have so many native apps right now. So there are a ton of L1 projects and L1 chains and some L2 chains. So here's questions here is for everyone, how do you evaluate the chains and what is your strategy when choosing a chain and what attracted you to build on Berachain?
Yeah, good question. So we are the first DePIN project on Berachain, meaning we have our hardware devices. And we all know that Solana has a big DePIN ecosystem, but we think we share the same vibe, the same culture with Berachain, the meme culture. Even the Genesis NFT of Berachain, if you know that, it's a bone bear. It's a bear holding the bones. So we feel we share the same vibe, and people are DJ and DeFi folks, and they're just, it's fun. We want to bring fun and consumer experiences to the DJ folks in Web3. So that's why we chose Berachain.
Yeah, so for us, we first fully bought into the thesis that you need deep pockets of liquidity to build a thriving, ecosystem. So being able to, meet the Berachain founders from the early days, we fully bought into that, and then we evaluated opportunity sets within ecosystem of where we can provide value back, and it just turned into something that I would say was a really good marriage. So in terms of opportunity sets, we saw a major one in the Berachain ecosystem. And then moving forward from that, it's, you take a look into the community. So what he just mentioned earlier, right? Good vibes, a very large community, and then also a very open and collaborative nature of the ecosystem of other projects building within there. So yeah, very bullish.
Yeah, as for me, I found Berachain's POL to be a perfect fit for our product, especially one of the features that we're offering is what we call speculation infrastructure. So we're trying to bring yield farming back to its great eras And by doing so, what that means is we're opening up incentivization markets to put people to have directional bets on specific tokens. Basically, well, AKA speculation infrastructure. And Berachain's like proof of liquidity, I'll call it, if I were to call it as like infrastructure for liquidity, we can easily just come in and fit the other part where we serve like the speculation infrastructure. So we just found it as a perfect fit.
Yeah, my answer is pretty simple actually. We saw the market opportunity and we saw the new consensus model proof of liquidity. And what's good in having all of this voluminous and luscious liquidity if you've got nowhere to trade it? Is my question to you. Rhetorical, by the way.
On my end, I think that, being involved with Berachain very early, I noticed with most layer ones that they over-index their rewards and just their overall cost to validators. You might assume that validators are a crucial part of any chain because obviously they're the ones providing security. But what a lot of people don't realize is that they're overpaying validators for what they're actually securing, right? The cost of corruption of any network is the liquidity that exists on that chain, TVL, right? And with Berachain, the cost of corruption is a number that can go up and down, not only based on the price of Bera or BGT, just like any L1, like the price of AVAX, but you can adjust how much you're spending based on how much liquidity is in the network, right? So that you're not overpaying validators and you're sharing those rewards back with people who are actually securing the chain by bringing that liquidity in. So with Berachain, the more liquidity that exists in the network, the more security you have. And you're never overpaying for $1 of TVL to secure that by a basic proof of stake consensus mechanism.
Yeah, cool. We're going to have a lot of growth stuff approaching, and as we're going to launch a ton of projects and they're going to have more users. Currently, we have around 8 to 9 million active users on chain every day. So, what's your growth mechanism? Like, how do you grow your project and together with the chain?
Yeah, so good question. So for the growth strategy of the marketing side, we're not just, the first thing is we work with all of the other Berachain ecosystem projects trying to bring the fun experiences for NFT for consumers. That's the first thing. The second thing is that we are working with the largest, the top 30 KOL in the NFT space. We work with them closely, trying to have them test out our product first, and then they can show to their community. And in our project, we value KOLs much higher than the typical infrastructure for the venture capitals. So we onboard them first and let them try to be part of our community, and then they can share the words for us. And the other side is that we're incubated by Orange DAO and Arweave, so we also share the same value with them. This is a healthcare project. We're bringing a lot of healthcare data from the sub-health people. 1.3 billion smokers in the world. So the health data will be permanent stored. The data will be permanent stored on chain. So yeah, that's how we value the growth here.
Yeah, so what we're building is something that's complementary to proof of liquidity. In some ways it even simplifies it. So like our main goals through our suite of tooling is to help users maximize their yield, and then also protocols building both natively and externally be able to access liquidity at the cheapest cost of capital. So with our flagship products, the first native LSD stack named IBGT, it first of all creates a value back to users in the form of having a fully composable token that maintains its yield-bearing nature. As some of you guys know, BGT is naturally liquid and non-transferable, very similar to like a soul-bound token. So by having an asset like IBGT, an entire DeFi ecosystem can be built around it. So you can imagine users now being able to earn IBGT, maintain yield-bearing nature, and accumulate yield from the native chain block rewards, and then also go interact with core primitives such as lend, borrow, leverage, anything you can think of. It also prompts innovation, so you can imagine other projects building around IBGT as well. Yep.
Yeah, so for us, like for the long term, if you think about it, like there's only two different kinds of interactions you could do with the crypto market. Like you can either just passively provide liquidity or you could just speculate on the market. And like how we want to like align with Berachain the long run is like as Berachain, the core itself like bribes the hell out of like liquidity providers through proof of liquidity. We'll be on the other side, like weighing the like speculation part. So we'll be providing the bribes to like for people to speculate on assets. So what this how this gets interesting for the short term is like we're basically offering like a new dimension of um, like speculation to the ecosystem. Like for example, like imagine like meme coins where like you have inflation, and its whole purpose of inflation is to bribe users to like long the meme coin itself. And while at the same time, while like there's like more degenerate use cases like that, you can also expand it to more like legit protocols where uh, like a lot of like the token models are very boring where you just collect revenue and just redistribute to token orders. You can have like a better twist where instead of just doing a direct distribution of revenue, you could collect the revenue and then just like do the distribution in a form of incentives to long the token. So we're just offering like a variety of new mechanisms to experiment with on Berachain.
Okay, so the question was, what is the growth strategy, right? I think that because Ooga Booga's target total addressable market is so large, and that we target basically the entirety of all of the users on Berachain, it falls within our thesis to aggregate and also integrate into everything. Some of the non-traditional things, such as, the traditional approach might be to aggregate the V2, the V3 forks, Kodiak, Bex. Izumi's going to come over, Algebra will be there as well. But there's also some other non-traditional liquidity sources that we're going to aggregate as well. For example, Ryan's Exponents over here will have a spot market operating in a similar fashion to Uni V2 bonding curve, right? So that will also provide a portion of liquidity into our smart order routing algorithm. That was the aggregate side, right? But on the integrate side, you can imagine the chain is based on DeFi, right? Let's take Beraborrow, for example. Beraborrow is a liquidity fork where you can mint their stable coin from IBGT, right, to its project. But let's say you don't have IBGT and you want to mint their stable coin. Well, then us as a swap execution facilitator, we can offer that ZAP. That's the same thing for Kodiak. Let's say the pool is STG USDC / honey, but you only have something like Bera. Then we can zap directly into that pool instead of having to swap twice and then put it in. So our growth strategy is to grow the chain because we will be integrated and aggregating everything.
Yeah, I think for us, we expand to a lot of different ecosystems, and the growth strategy for most of those other chains or scaling solutions is pretty similar. Talk to their foundation, see if there's any way to get support with liquidity or grants, or I'm sure if there's other builders out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But with Berachain, it's very different, right? With Berachain, you have the unique opportunity to not only be early, but also take advantage of all the different resources that exist within proof of liquidity to help bootstrap your DApp, right? I've talked with a lot of projects that are moving to Berachain that will migrate completely over because all of their liquidity bootstrapping campaigns that they do on other chains do not materialize into anything. Whereas with Berachain, the exact same strategy with a few twists and turns is can result in a much better outcome. Just because you can be an integral part of BGT and how the chain scales and how the chain secures itself. So for us, I think the best way to go to market is to focus all in on liquidity, and we're going to be doing exactly that, trying to figure out how to optimize BGT distributions, validator bribes, all the sorts. Yeah.
All right. I got a question list, but I wanted to change it a bit because this time we're in Hong Kong. We're seeing a lot of like Asian like Asian narratives, it differs from the West. Like in the West, people are talking about like risk taking. Are talking about like solving coins, like Berachain, etc. But like when we were in Asia, we were in Hong Kong or mainland China, some other areas. We have seen like other narratives that been talking about like AI deeping and even like most of the talk are like the Bitcoin ecosystem. For example, Bitcoin L2 is a Bitcoin is taking Bitcoin DAs and the Bitcoin ordinals, etc., etc. That these are the narratives that we have never seen before. Also, including meme coins, we never thought like meme coin can be so popular. So as projects like on Berachain and as you're or building some stuff, so the question I'll change a bit, like how do we support and how do we attract these new narratives? Like as for example, you are building something like Raffle is building AI stuff, and the rest we're building some DeFi stuff as a basic layer. So how do we how do we support and how do we attract these new narratives? I think like these are something like can be pretty popular in this cycle, especially for the Bitcoin stuff. Like every chain, everyone wants to bring the Bitcoin liquidity on chain, right?
Yeah, so I guess, well, first of all, we are building DeepIn. That's already the narrative in Asia right now. And although the first time the DeepIn concept is brought up by Masari back in 2 or 3 years ago, it's very funny that we are doing DeepIn in a different way. This is more for the consumers. So it's for the decentralized consumer network. Imagine how you start a brand back in Web2. We are co-launch a new brand in Web3 for Web3 consumers. So that means in the early days, you have to accumulate that consensus using your token or other incentive mechanisms. So I guess besides the liquidity part, I guess for the Berachain is that it's easier for us to accumulate or to draw that attention, to draw that consensus from the community. And we are very open-minded to work with any of the DeFi protocol or with any of the folks in the industry. It doesn't matter which sector you are from. So I guess you can say that's the flexibility of some kind of consumer application as we do. Yeah, I think that's my understanding of this question.
So I think there always will be new emerging trends, new emerging projects, and it's a constant cycle that will happen, right? It's more about, as founders, where do you choose to launch? Which ecosystem do you find has the most opportunity set? So what we're building at Infrared is, we're building all the tool sets to help founders be able to access liquidity and not have to worry about things like liquidity management. Because the truth of it is a lot of founders are not that, are either not well versed in DeFi or spend too much time worrying about liquidity management, right? Whereas they should be focused on building out their own product, and that's typically what matters most. So at Infrared, we're building the tool sets so that any type of projects coming in the Berachain ecosystem will be able to access liquidity at the cheapest cost of capital. And help simplify some of like the novelties and nuances of navigating POL.
Yeah, if I were to say like in order to get an ecosystem going, like there's two things to consider. Like one, you need a user base, and two, you need like not just a human user base, but you need like a financial user base, which is liquidity. And starting with the first one, like having a good user base, I think Berachain's community is well versed to suit that. But considering the second one, I guess what could be some of the improvement points is, so just like what happened with like all the bribes during the curve wars, where a lot of proposals were being put up to like provide liquidity incentives to like certain pairs. I would foresee like a similar thing happening over on Berachain as well. So what could be beneficial is like sort of like a cartelization of validators, or more of like a specialization of validators, where there could be a subset of validators that are wishing to provide liquidity more specifically on DeFi, or there could be a different subset that wishes to like incentivize more on DePIN and so on and so forth. And as for like a DeFi focused project, we hope to, yeah, basically just provide the foundation on like what would be the way ahead for DeFi within Berachain.
My opinion, I think it might be a bit of a hot take, but in my opinion, apart from Solana meme coins, with the narratives which you named, AI, let's say DePIN and BTC L2s, the narrative in general, I believe, is set by venture capitalists. It's not set by users. Sorry. I think that it's the venture capitalists giving all these projects a bunch of money and giving them fat valuations, and then that pulls in the retail because they think of like airdrop potential and whatnot. I think that Berachain raising multiple rounds and multiple high valuations plays a part into why Berachain is in the narrative, and it's also a very good strategy for other projects to follow. Good PR on their raises, I think, is how you drive narrative.
Yeah, I think that what matters more when curating an ecosystem, specifically for a layer 1 or layer 2, is not to lock yourself into one narrative. I think that there was, in the last cycle, a bunch of chains that said, we're doing this, but fast, because most of the activity was on Ethereum. And a lot of those chains are not around anymore, right? And what did stick around was the general purpose layer 1s that can be a lot more agile and composable to like fit into whatever narrative the builders want to be tackling for like AI, DePIN, all these things that people are talking about now. So what I think matters most when curating an ecosystem is to just generalize your product, make sure that anyone can build whatever they want on top of the chain, and not to lock yourself into one thing.
Yeah, I agree. Always be open. Always be open to new narratives, and always use some tools to help them to help them build on top of it, and build some liquidity infra for them to use and to integrate. Thank you everyone. I think like for Elizabeth Lust, the thing that Berachain is always open. We're talking to multiple new narratives to come to the chain. There are going to be a lot of like these, no matter new protocols or new founders, quite a while, and we're going to do some breakthroughs, especially with the founders around here. They're actually building something very cool, and going to support, especially to support the new narratives, the new products, and new developers. They're the one that anyone will be used, and pretty interesting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.